and welcome to another NCA Tutor Quick Tip. Today we're talking about the difference in approach between the family law exam and the other NCA subjects. I see a lot of students struggling with the family law exam just because of the amount of information that the fact patterns can throw at you. It's easy to get lost in those questions. It's easy to feel like there's factors in there that are red herrings that don't matter and really not feel like you're sure what you're supposed to be focusing on to answer the question. Also, unlike other subjects, sometimes there aren't always clear answers to the questions. I think in a criminal law exam, for instance, you can kind of come to a clear conclusion or fall stronger on one side than the other when you're answering the question. In family law, the case law and the legislation itself is very contextual. Courts they balance several factors in order to come to conclusions. And that's really what you're being asked to do with a fact pattern as well. And you're not a judge or even a lawyer who's been practicing this area for a long time, so it can feel like you're just kind of weighing all these things and you don't really know where you're supposed to come down on, what side you're supposed to come down on. And I think that's okay for the exam. I think what they're really looking for you to do is identify all the key factors in the question. They aren't really red herring facts. If they're giving you key information about where people live, how many years they've been married, how many years a child has lived in a location, what type of school the child goes to, their religious background, etc. All of that is probably relevant, and there's probably a case that you're supposed to be referencing that uses that factor somehow to inform the court on how this matter should be decided. Don't skip over factors. Don't ignore factors. Every fact that you read, every particular quality about the family or the child or the spouse should register a case for you. There's probably a case out there in the textbook or on the syllabus that dealt with this particular type of factor in a family situation and that the court commented on as being important or unimportant. And you should be referencing that in your answer. The other thing that's tricky, which I've talked about in another video, is this parallel stream between federal and provincial law. There's case law on orders in both those sides. If you're dealing with a divorce, you have federal law at play. If you're dealing with separation or a common law situation, you have provincial law at play. There's also several types of orders at play. We have interim orders, we have permanent orders, we have variance orders, we have retroactive orders, we have repression and suspension orders. There's so many pieces at play, it can feel really overwhelming to get your head around this exam. But my biggest takeaway for you is, 1, be organized. Make sure you have your notes organized in a way where you can quickly find those types of orders. For instance, if a question is referencing a temporary situation, you're probably dealing with an interim order, you should be able to flip very quickly to your notes for the section on interim orders, and it will tell you all the factors that you need to consider. If you see a question that is telling you something like we're going to change an existing support order or an existing access or custody, not custody anymore, they're called parenting orders now. If we're going to make changes to those types of orders, that you're looking at a variation order, you should be able to quickly flip to your notes, a section in your notes, and it tells you all the factors that are considered. If someone's been remarried, that's going to change what's happening in an order, you should have a section for that on your notes. So being organized is super key because you are going to get a lot of information. It's not possible to memorize all the different ways that this information plays together. So using the open book format to your benefit and being able to have materials organized in a way that helps you reference them in the exam is going to be a superpower because there's just way too much information to memorize. There's 2 streams of law, even though they're very similar. There are 2 different streams of law at play here, and you need to be able to reference your materials in this exam. But that said, don't bring too much into the exam. Students often print out all the acts and then they're trying to reference those in the exam. The acts are not super valuable because, as I said, the case law has added a lot of context to these situations. So it's better to have good case summaries than to have the legislation with you. You should absolutely know what sections these sorts of issues come under. What section governs divorce, what section governs these various orders. but you don't need to, copy out verbatim the legislation on your exam. You don't really get points for that. And it's much better to be able to reference a case than it is to reference a section of the exam, of the legislation. Now, I absolutely would, as sort of an opening line in my rules section of a question, say that this particular issue falls under section whatever of the Divorce Act or section whatever of the Family Law Act, but that's about as far as I would go. I wouldn't really spend a lot more time dealing with the legislation. I would then move on to case law that's relevant, that deals with the particular factors at play in the fact pattern you've been given, and start applying those cases to the situation at hand. I think that's going to be a much stronger answer than spending your time in the exam hall rummaging through various legislations. You should just have quick notes on what sections govern key areas of the issues at play, and then move on to case law from there. Now, if, final plug, as I always do at the end of these videos, if you need support or help studying for this exam, NCA Tutor is happy to assist you in that. We offer private tutoring with myself and another practicing family law lawyer. We have notes available for purchase, which gives you all of what I just talked about. The specific sections of legislation that apply to each section are highlighted there, they're color-coded, the case names are color-coded, and you have some fairly good summaries in there as well of the most important cases. So they're really great notes. You can see a preview of them on our YouTube channel as well. We have a video going through them so you can see all the color coding and how they're laid out. And yeah, if you have any other exams coming up or anything else that we can support you with, definitely do reach out, info@nca-tutor.com for our office. They will help you with booking courses, booking one-to-one tutoring, and purchasing notes if you need that assistance. See you next time.
If you've spent any time on Instagram or TikTok in the last little while, you probably already recognize Kat Norton, aka Miss Excel, for her fun and interactive videos showcasing Excel tips and tricks to set you apart at work and make you more efficient. NCA Tutor is proud and honored to be a Miss Excel affiliate. Get 20% off of all Miss Excel courses using our code NCA Tutor. That's NCA TUTOR. Whether you're still in law school, writing the NCAs, preparing for the bar, or looking for an articling position, I cannot express to you enough how important having Excel skills and a firm grasp of the Microsoft Suite applications can be to helping you reach your next goal. I have used Excel so many times during my 2 years of practice so far to help me analyze damages, organize large groups of documents, or make marketing presentations to large clients we were hoping to acquire. It can be really helpful to have a firm grasp of all of these applications and be able to say that in an interview to a prospective employer. Taking advantage of your time now to learn some of these programs and to learn the skills that you will need to be a successful articling student and a successful lawyer is an investment in you and your future career. As a member of the NCA Tutor community, you are eligible for 20% off of all Miss Excel courses using the code NCA Tutor at www.miss-excel.com.